Live from Johnny's Tavern in West Lawrence, this is Hawk Talk with Bill Self on the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network. In the next hour, Coach Self will break down your Jayhawks and take your questions at 1-800-845-HAWK. That's 1-800-845-HAWK. Hawk Talk with Bill Self is presented by Boulevard Brewing Company, local since 1989. Capital Federal Savings, celebrating 125 years. By Johnny's Tavern, serving up tradition since 1953 in the Lawrence and Kansas City area. And by Intrust Bank, proud supporter of Kansas athletics. Now, alongside Coach Self, here's your host, the voice of the Jayhawks, Brian Haney.
Good evening and welcome into Hawk Talk, coming at you live from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. We're at 6th and Wakarusa. We invite each and every one of you out there listening to come on down and join us in person every week for Hawk Talk. Coach Bill Self is on his way. In fact, he's walking in the doors right now. How about that? Coach Bill Self, everybody. You can join Coach here in person, or you can give us a call anytime at 1-800-845-HAWK. That's 1-800-845-4295. You can also submit your questions and comments for Coach anytime during the week online at kuathletics.com or on Facebook or Twitter. As always, though, it pays to join us in person if you want to come out to the show, as we'll be giving away some great prizes. We've been giving away a 2-night stay at the Oriad Hotel throughout the fall and early portion of Big 12 play. Starting tonight, though, from Icon Artwork, we're going to give away these pewter Jayhawk statues. So pretty cool prize, $150 value on those pewter Jayhawk statues, and we'll tell you more about that later in the show. But that always goes to the top in-house audience question, and we'll get to some of those in-house audience questions as the show rolls on. Coach, great to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. How are you?
I'm never been better. So no, we're doing fine. You know, obviously this has been we had a bad 72 hours, and hopefully we can be better for it, but certainly not very happy right now.
Tough couple of losses, sure. You had a chance, though, to get back today and take a look at the film from last night. Any additional observations seeing it on film?
You know, I thought that we tried really hard. I thought our bench enthusiasm was better than it has been. I thought that you know, we of course we labored miserably, you know, for the majority of the game to score, but I thought our defense was actually pretty good. And after the first, you know, 3 or 4 possessions where they got a couple of putbacks, actually our defensive rebounding was pretty good too. So there were some things that we did, you know, okay. And I thought down the stretch the guys played hard and tried real hard and actually executed pretty good and pretty well in the full court pressure type situations. But we just you know, put really an average free throw shooting team on the line, and they made 21 out of 23, and that was a huge difference in the game, because it seemed like whenever we had a chance, we cut it to 4 twice, and they got an offensive rebound on a free throw. So they were 17 of 18 from the line the second half, and the one they missed they got back, and then Diedrich missed a long 3, down 4 as well. So that would have put real game pressure on them if we could have, you know, cut it to 2 or 1 and just didn't get it done.
Yeah, to your point, I think they were a 69% free throw shooting team entering the game, and they shoot 91% last night, really taking advantage of their opportunities. But it was the first Texas win over Kansas in 11 games. KU'd won 10 in a row in the series heading in, so it just goes to show you the dominance Kansas has had over the years. You mentioned it was a tough night offensively for your team, but one guy who really made the most of an additional opportunity, his first chance to start, Ochai Agbaji, erupts for 24 points. What did you like the most about his contributions?
Well, he plays with no fear. I thought he did a great job of just putting himself in the game. You know, he got 4 offensive rebounds, which is a pretty high number for a guard, a really high number for a guard, and I think he converted 3 of the 4 into points, if I'm not mistaken, and I thought he did a pretty good job defensively, but offensively, you know, he played downhill for the most part and made a couple of shots, but he was just aggressive. He was just out there playing and having fun, and that was so good to see, especially, you know, with his sister going to Texas and everything. I know that meant a lot to him.
Sister Ori's an outside hitter on the UT volleyball team, so that was special, and boy, did he ever answer the call. I know you tell us all the time that we as fans make way too much out of who starts the game. It's more about who finishes it. But can you tell us what all went into that decision and how that shapes up going forward based on the way he played?
Well, I don't know exactly how it's going to be 2 weeks from now or whatnot, but we've got to try some different things to try to get a spark or to do something that's a little bit out of norm, because norm hasn't been working. I'd like to be able to say we're going to play start the same 5 guys all the time. That's the perfect world. But it just hasn't been working as well. Maybe some guys will be better coming off the bench. Maybe some guys will show a sign that we haven't seen consistently if they get an opportunity to start. So I don't really know. But in Oach, we didn't know. But certainly it didn't hurt him at all to start. But I don't think I like what you said earlier. I don't think you should really read into that. People make such a big deal out of nothing. You can only start 5, period. And so, people want to say, well, something happened or something's wrong or this or that, and that's not how it really works. And so, I think there's probably been several times where maybe an offensive lineman didn't start in a game, and it really wasn't a big deal. Nobody even knew about it. Right. But because he's seeing after the first series or whatever. But
sure.
But in this particular situation, it was something that we felt like we should try to give us kind of a different look and hopefully a little energy off the bat.
You mentioned trying to spark some better results, and you're pushing different buttons, pulling different strings. Last night, 3 freshmen and a sophomore in that starting lineup, and we've seen a nice trend out of Marcus Garrett for 3 or 4 games. Then here's Quentin Grimes for 1 game here or there. But you mentioned struggling to find consistency. How much of that is just the sheer youth and inexperience on the floor with this group right now, that they're going to have some natural ebbs and flows?
Well, I think a lot of it is we're going to have some ebbs and flows, but I don't want to make excuses that it's because of youth. I mean, we played young players before, and they've delivered and everything. I think a lot of it is to be real candid, is me or our staff. I don't think that we've done a good job in putting our guys in places where they can coexist and make each other look good. What we've done in the past has really worked well. And it was actually working fairly well when we had our full complement of players, and all of a sudden now it doesn't look near as good. Even though you play December knowing you're going to get Doak back, so we really didn't change many things.
Right.
And so it wasn't always pretty, but we basically got the job done. Whether it be Villanova or whatever, we lost the 1 game at Arizona State, but that wasn't because of what we run. That was just because of execution down the stretch. But here lately, the way people are guarding us, and they're backing off, and they're trapping Diedrich every time he touches it, and they're taking away certain things that we have been successful with, getting the ball downhill, things like that. So now it's and we don't have anybody that is really a physical presence to post. And that's not a knock to Diedrich. That's not who Diedrich is. I mean, Diedrich is not a low post guy. So we've got to tinker and do some things. We don't have much time to do it, but you keep believing if we executed what we did and what we've been doing, we'd be better off than just trying something totally new. But we've got to make some adjustments, because we need to help our guys. And I don't think we've done a great job of helping them.
Interesting. Well, we'll talk more about that tinkering over the course of tonight's show. We'll talk about the ultra.
No, we won't. So that's it. So
well, that's his show. So yeah, okay. We'll talk about the ultra competitive Big 12 conference race. Now a 5-team race, and some of the teams in the second half of the standings right now are teams that were ranked just a couple of weeks ago, like TCU and Oklahoma. So a lot to get into there with a really competitive Big 12 conference landscape. And we'll take your questions in-house and over the phone lines as well at 1-800-845-HAWK. That's 1-800-845-4295. You can also text the show at 234-25-HAWKS. 234-25-HAWKS. More coming up with head coach Bill Self. Hawk Talk is sponsored by InTrust Bank, a proud supporter of Kansas Athletics. We're live from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence, on the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network.
When you believe, you inspire. When you love, you dream. When you breathe, you create. When you laugh, you cry. And when you're reliable, you trust. Capital Federal, predictably true blue.
When we were caregiving for Grandma and Grandpa in their room, they wanted a certain temperature, and you could regulate and keep their temperature in that room instead of all of us sweating bullets in the house.
Kate's servicemen really understood our needs. We spoke to them about the grandparents' room. They wanted that one room very, very warm, and they were able to accomplish that. We know when we walk in the door, the temperature's going to be right where we like it. So it's been wonderful having Kate's heating and cooling. We love it.
Diagnostic Imaging Centers has always been at the forefront of new technology, delivering innovative solutions to patients for more than 50 years, right here in Kansas City. From the bumps and bruises of childhood to the joys of starting your very own family and the peace of mind you get from a routine screening, Diagnostic Imaging Centers is building the future so you can focus on yours.
Here in Kansas, we're blessed with an abundance of oil and natural gas energy, as well as many other natural resources. Some folks say that producing oil and natural gas harms our farms and ranches. The truth is, oil and gas leasing and production are vital to sustaining Kansas farms and ranches from one generation to the next. We work together, and over the past 40 years, there has not been a single instance of groundwater pollution from hydraulic fracturing or injection wells in Kansas by our industry. Get the facts at kansasstrong.com.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Hayes muscles one up that's rejected away and pulled away by Garrett. Ahead to Ochai and a left hand tomahawk jam. Ochai Abaji pumping his fist, pounding his chest. Timeout Texas. KU back within one. Boy, what a spark he gave the Hawks last night. Ochai Abaji, he responds in his first career start, going for 24 points on 80% shooting, 6 of 8 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds as well, 4 of which were offensive rebounds. He was terrific, and you see that verticality, that elevation. I asked Coach Hootie what his exact vertical leap was, and she said, well, standing straight on and jumping straight up is 35.5 inches. Without a running jump. But Wayne Simeon was standing right next to her as she was explaining this to me. He said, but Brian, that's not when there's 16,300 and you're running to make a play. He's like, it's probably more like 41 or 42.
Yeah, I don't, they judge them differently than what they used to. It used to be everything was from a standing jump, no step. And now they do it different at the combine. They let them get as high as they can however they get there, whether it's running or whether it's off 1 foot or 2 foot or 2 feet. So the reality of it is it's pretty high, whatever it is.
She called it a 35-inch no-step counter-movement jump.
Okay.
And Big Dub just shook his head and said, no, he can fly. He can get up.
The 35-inch standing vertical is very, very good. That would be the best on our team, I would think, without question.
And she confirmed that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can just see it when he's going up for a rebound. And there's 6'11" guys he's jumping against, but he's, in many cases, above them and plucking the ball out of the sky.
He's definitely our best wing offensive rebounder. At least he's proven that. He's active, but the biggest thing that he's doing, I think, is just playing. I mean, he's playing with pretty much reckless abandon. He's not playing to not screw up, he's. I've said this before, and then maybe he didn't have his best game after, but he's pretty poised for a kid that hasn't been out there very much. It's amazing to me how we look to him kind of as a guy that, kind of a guy that needs to play well for us to have the best chance. And I knew that he would help us whenever he came out of redshirt, but I probably didn't know to the extent that he would this soon.
We were sitting there on Saturday in Rupp Arena with 23,000 fans as he's shooting free throws and calmly hitting both of the pair, thinking how much has his life changed in the last month, and then how much has it changed in the last year. Shooting free throws at Oak Park High School is a little different than 23,000 at Rupp, and yet he's handled it with such poise. To your point, he just seems mature beyond what you would anticipate for a guy that green and that new to all this.
Yeah, there's some freshmen that aren't very green. You know, you look at some of the guys that we've had in the past, whether it be Andrew or Wayne or Kelly or even Brandon Rush. You know, you could go through and look at those guys. They had some experience that were far beyond what most high school kids have had. Ochai hasn't. Ochai's green, and for him to react the way that he has, I think is pretty cool, because he's not hung up, he's not caught up into anything. He just wants to go out there and play, and he's playing for the right reasons, and that's just to try to do well to help his team, and he knows helping his team is for him to be aggressive.
Well, he certainly was that last night. 24 points on 8 of 10 shooting. You mentioned how they were trapping Diedrich every time on the catch, and obviously Hayes already's
most
guarding.
Every time, not every time, but they did a lot.
They did a lot. Yeah. So Hayes is there, and then here comes Osakowski, and now you got length and muscle, and he's trying to find a way to get off shots. He opens 1 of 9, but sticks with it and was much more efficient down the stretch. What were you telling him in the midst of that as he was fighting through all that extra attention?
Well, I was just I told him about halfway through the second half. I said, hey, you're going to have more games like this. You got to figure it out. Game's still in doubt, and it's time for best players to take over. And I thought he did play well down the stretch without question. I feel bad for him in this way. His body type is such that he can certainly withstand the beating and everything, but that extra day of rest would have helped him in this situation. He got laid on pretty heavy in Lexington, and it was totally my fault to play our guys that many minutes in Lexington. I wish I could go back and do that all over again, because I think that we could have been a fresher team on Tuesday if I'd have played smarter, if I'd have subbed smarter on Saturday.
But it's hard when you don't have the complement of bigs that you thought you were going to have at this juncture, and everybody's been waiting and wondering, will you get any more help at that position anytime soon? Anything you can update us on involving Silvio De Sousa?
No. It's beyond frustration, and if we're frustrated, just think about how the kid is, and he's handled it beautifully. But he comes in every day and asks what's new, and comes in happy and leaves out sad, it seems like, every day, because we don't have any information to tell him. So, we're still holding out hope that we'll have information for him. But certainly, it's been very disappointing that we haven't been told anything yet. And I'm sure in whoever's mind that there's good reason that's the case. Trying to put everything together or whatnot, but for the youngster's sake, it's certainly been very frustrating.
How much have you seen him grow through practice, since we've not seen him on the floor since the NCAA tournament of last year? How much have you seen him blossom in the last 9 months?
You know what? I think it's a little bit misleading. He's gotten better, there's no question. But the reality of it is, you can grow and get better, but you can't really practice him with the first group unless you have a good hunch that he would be declared eligible, because you'd be taking reps away from guys that need that, and we don't have the depth that we can practice 2.5 hours every day. So he's been basically with the scout team, and his attitude's been great, and he's picked that stuff up really quickly. So he'll be better, because one thing that he's learned how to do is he can, okay, Iowa State runs this, and he'll remember how to run it, or Oklahoma does this, and for him to have to force himself to remember how all these other teams do things, that will help him with executing on what we're trying to do. Whereas last year it took a while for him to do that. So I think there's some positives with that. But the reality of it is, when there's no pressure playing on the scout team. If you throw it away, it's not like it's the end of the earth, and so. Or if you don't play the same way, so getting guys to play the same way they would with Diedrich when you're playing with walk-ons, no disrespect to our walk-ons, is a little bit different because on the scout team, he knows he's got to score, got to do whatever, and sometimes I think you can develop some bad habits that way. So we're the thing about it is, and now I'm speaking ultra favorably. But the reality of it is, whenever he's told that he could, if that day ever comes, it's still going to take a while before he's ready to step in and be an impact guy. Because I don't know if you remember last year, he'd been practicing with us for about 2 weeks. And the first time he checked in, I was against K-State. He caught the ball and he literally threw the ball into about the 12th row right after he checked in. And it didn't have anything to do with. It was just different, it was just different. He was like, it was like I've never felt anything like that. He'd never been through anything like that. So it took some time, and then we all saw what happens with guys after they've had time, and how well they adjust. So I do believe that and I'm speaking hypothetically, that if it does happen, it's still not going to happen overnight as far as impact. But we have no indication that it's going to happen, though. Although we still ask every day and holding out hope.
Last question on the topic, because it's all hypothetical, but what you thought you were going to get out of Diedrich and Doak together, Diedrich being able to be such a great passer to set up Doak, though Silvio and Udoka are different players, could we get some of that magic with Diedrich being such a great distributor and a good finisher like Silvio if he got clear?
Well, we're talking too much hypothetical.
Sure.
That's not the team that we have. So we should talk about the team that we have. But the reality of it is, if having somebody else in there that would not make Diedrich play the 5 and guard the 5 or the heavy guy or whatnot, I would think would be positive for us in a lot of situations. And David can provide that some. Mitch can provide a lot of things, but he's not ever going to be a heavy guy. I mean, he's always going to weigh 215 pounds. Where David, has a little bit of size to him that guys can't back you down and things like that, and that'd be what Silvio could provide as well.
We'll continue to hope for the best. Thank you for the update. I know it's a disappointing topic, but what a great kid, and we're all pulling for good news real soon. All right, more coming up with head coach Bill Self as Hawk Talk rolls on from Johnny's Tavern West Lawrence. Hawk Talk is brought to you by Diagnostic Imaging Centers, centered on you. As I mentioned, we're at Johnny's Tavern in West Lawrence, but there's 10 different KC area locations, so check them out for a great local sports bar today. More coming up on the Equity Bank Jayhawk IMG Sports Network. rebound. Hayes rejected by Lightfoot. Wow. KU takes it away. Here comes Kansas down 8. Dotson in the corner. Ochai for 3. Yes! Ochai Agbaji staying red hot in the Lone Star State. Ochai last night, as we mentioned, was 8 of 10 from the floor, but that included 2 3-pointers in his career night of 24 points. KU comes up short, though, 73-63. And as we mentioned, now 5 teams all within half a game of each other in the Big 12 Conference title chase. And tell you what, we knew K-State would be in the thick of it with all the veterans they brought back. You knew Texas Tech was going to be good. They've been ranked throughout the year. Iowa State obviously has surpassed a lot of early season expectations, and now looks like they'll be there for the long haul. Maybe the big surprise is Baylor, especially considering they lost Tristan Clark, and a lot of folks, myself included, thought, man, how are they going to get over this guy? He was an all-conference caliber player, and they've done nothing but win ever since the Kansas game. When you guys knocked them off, it's been all W's ever since for the Bears.
Yeah, Scott's done a really good job with that, because when we played them down there, even though the game got close late, that was a 23-point game with 4 minutes left, and we controlled it. And then ever since then, it just goes to show you, and there's so many things about sports that's a little bit different, but you should play the game in a way that when you finish it, it builds confidence towards your next game regardless of the outcome. So you look at the game in which they played us, even though we didn't play well down the stretch, but they cut that game to a one-possession game, and they probably left after that game thinking, okay, guys, we found something. And they haven't lost since.
Right.
And so that, but what happens if they didn't find anything in that particular game? Would they be as far along right now as they are? So that you get such a I watch this too, and we all do this when we're watching games as a fan, even on TV or you're at a game, and somebody fouls after the game's over, and there's 20 seconds left, and you're up 9, and they foul, and you say, why would they do that? This is just stretching out. That's BS. Well, maybe the coach is wanting to work on a situation that now they get to try to score or how do you play the last 20 seconds? So I think that may be something that may have triggered their revival, so to speak. But they're doing a really nice job. They've got a really nice team. But you think losing their leading scorer that's leading the league in field goal percentage, or second in the league in field goal percentage, something like that. That you would think, God, how do you replace that? And they didn't. They just got everybody else around them better, and they've done a good job.
I know your primary focus right now is just your team, getting them better and getting set for Tech, but if you can step back and just look at the race as a whole, to have 5 clubs all this close, almost at the midway point, what do you make of how competitive this is?
This is sad to say. I don't even know who the 5 clubs are. I would think that it would be K-State and Baylor are the only 2 with 2 losses. Is that right?
And they've played 1 fewer game, and that's why.
Yeah, but still, though, I mean, they're in the best shape of anybody right now. And then us and Tech and I don't even know who the.
If Iowa State wins tonight.
What's Texas?
Texas would now be 4-4, so they're not far back.
Okay,
either.
so
they're 1 game back.
It's really close, and it's going to change a lot moving forward. But certainly we have to figure out a way to continue to hold serve at home. It's so important that we win at home, and then we've obviously got to change our fortunes away from home. We haven't been good away from home at all. Probably played a little bit better for the most part away from home over the course of the year than our record, but it doesn't matter if you don't finish, and we haven't finished in a couple of games, but certainly there's the thing about it is with the league, and it's too early. We've been there and done this before. The difference is right now is we've been there and done this with veterans. Not very often have we been there and done this with a lot of unknowns, and we're still trying to figure out. Like last year, I think we were a game behind or 2 games behind in the league race, with about 5 left, and ended up winning it by 2 games. because we ran the table, if I'm not mistaken. But we knew how we were going to play, and we were locked into that, and roles and things like that. We're still trying to find ourselves, so we've got to do some things in a very positive way quickly, in my opinion, over the next couple of weeks, and then so we can really settle in to be who we're going to be, the last part of the season. But I think we all get so spoiled. I've been so spoiled with this amount of success that we've had here because of players and good fortune and timing, and even though we've had our fair share of injuries of late, for the most part, if you look back over at the last 14 years, we've been overall pretty fortunate, even though we've had some big ones that may have knocked us out of a chance to maybe do something really special. So injuries, we can say this or that, but that's part of life, and that's part of the game, and we've still got to overcome that. But it's like we're going through the same thing that Virginia Tech's going through, and same thing that Iowa State's going through, and you look around the TVs, and everybody's going through the same thing that we are. There's very few teams out there that are 7-1 in their league right now, leading it by 2 games or whatnot. There's a few, but certainly not very many. So we got to fight and grind and scratch and claw, just like the vast majority of the teams in the country. And we haven't been used to doing that as consistently as some of the other ones, but there's no reason why we can't, because when we've had to in the past, we've delivered pretty well.
I want you to know your fans recognize how spoiled we've all been. The Cormans brought that up to me earlier tonight when I was passing out the questionnaires about how lucky we are, how spoiled we've been. I don't know if you realize this, but last night was just the 12th time in 100 games after a loss where you haven't immediately won the next game. You're 88-12 all time coming off a loss. That's still too many. 12's still too many. But 88%? Are you kidding me? I can do that math. That's amazing. Yeah, but the bottom line is we had the thing. We all knew this as a staff, that the West Virginia game was the most disappointing game that we've had. But we rebounded nicely against Iowa State, but we rebounded and won at home. We've had pretty good success doing that. Doesn't mean we always will, but obviously Texas Tech beat us at home last year, and so did Oklahoma State in league play. But going to Kentucky and with the matchup the way it was, I hate to say this. That wasn't as disappointing to me. I didn't leave out of there thinking, oh, Jesus, the sky's falling. I left out of there, well, we competed hard. We obviously, got exposed in some ways, and they beat us up pretty good on the glass, and we got to improve in some areas. But for the most part, kids competed pretty hard, and we just had some, they made shots at the end of the shot clock, and we didn't score at the end of the shot clock. I mean, that was the difference in that game as much as rebounding was. The Texas game was disappointing because the challenge with the Texas game, at least in my opinion, was even that's why the SEC Big 12 Challenge can be a good thing, but it can be a negative thing too, because the Kentucky game, whether we blew it up to be a big game or not, which I tried not to, in the kids' minds, that's a big game. And in the kids' minds, they're crushed when you don't play as well and you don't come out on top, and then you got travel, so you couldn't practice Sunday because you're totally fatigued emotionally and physically. And so it leaves you basically an hour and a half to get ready for Texas, and that is tough. And mature teams can do that, and we didn't really handle that as well as we could. Texas, on the flip, they went to Georgia and got it handed to them at Georgia, and then what did they do? I'm sure they came back and regrouped and thought that, hey, now this is a huge game for us. Right. We have to do this, and this, and they did it, and they did it better than us. And so, even though, and it was obviously not making any excuses at all, but because we have to perform at a much higher level than we did last night. But I think a lot of that is we're not doing enough to help our players, at least right now, because it seems like before we could find a way to get an easy basket.
You know, we just do this or that, and we'll find a way to get the ball to Diedrich isolated or something. And we're going through a phase right now where that's not coming easily for us. So we've got to help them more.
All right, we're excited to watch that happen. KU versus Texas Tech coming up at 3 o'clock on Saturday. We'll get to the audience questions when we come back. We also invite your phone calls, 1-800-845-HAWK, or text us 234-25-HAWKS. Hawk Talk is sponsored by Delta Dental of Kansas. Protect your healthy smile. Learn more about individual and family plans at deltadentalks.com. More from Johnny's Tavern West Lawrence on the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network.
Diagnostic Imaging Centers has always been at the forefront of new technology, delivering innovative solutions to patients for more than 50 years, right here in Kansas City. From the bumps and bruises of childhood to the joys of starting your very own family and the peace of mind you get from a routine screening, Diagnostic Imaging Centers is building the future so you can focus on yours.
When you believe, you inspire. When you love, you dream. When you breathe, you create. When you laugh, you cry. And when you're reliable, you trust. Capital Federal, predictably true blue.
A smile. Such a simple gesture, an effortless contraction of muscles, a flash of teeth. Healthy smiles have the power to spread joy, courage, and love. When you smile, it transforms you and the world around you. So if you feel the urge, go ahead and use that simple gesture to spread joy. Keep your smile healthy and strong. Choose Delta Dental for your individual or family plan, protecting more smiles than anyone.
Hello, Kansas. We're your energy industry. In the past, we've shown you beautiful slow-motion images of gorgeous Kansas sunsets, basketball games, and other images that promote our industry. But right now, it's important that you know the facts, like the fact that during the past 40 years, there has not been a single instance of groundwater pollution from hydraulic fracturing or injection wells in Kansas by our industry. We respect our state and its natural resources. Get the facts at kansasstrong.com.
Did you get your new Truity Visa card yet? You'll save money with 1.99 APR for 15 months. That's right, 1.99 APR with any new Truity Visa card. This rate's good on all purchases and cash advances for the first 15 months. What are you waiting for? Start saving money today. TruityCU.org/credit cards. With approved credit, come in or go online for details.
Kansas inside of McCormick. Double team comes, kicks to Vick, launches a three and hits.
There we go.
Right on cue, LaGerald Vick coming up big. More highlights from last night's game in Austin. KU falls, but a chance to bounce back on Saturday with Texas Tech coming calling at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. We'll talk more about that later in the show. We invite your phone calls at 1-800-845-HAWK, or you can text us at 234-25-HAWKS. Our producer engineer Steve Kincaid sifting through all the texts to find the best ones right here, right now. But let's start with some in-house audience questions. Again, the top question gets a special prize from Icon Artworks. You see these beautiful pewter Jayhawk statues up on the main stage if you're watching on television. We've got the slightly smaller version of those. Still $150 value will be given away each and every episode over the next month and a half. So big thanks to everybody at Icon Artworks. 6 different Jayhawks available. And you can get the full set, or you can buy an individual one. My favorite bird's the 1912 skinny-legged Jayhawk. I can identify with him. That's the one we're going to give out later tonight, so stay tuned. That'll go to our top question of the night. All right, your buddy Brett in the back of the room, one of your favorite Hawk Talk listeners and mine too. He noticed something in the game last night involving Kansas defenders trying to hold their ground. And I'll read the question verbatim. He says, does the defender have equal right to their space on the court, or do they have to give in to the offensive player? I.e., Marcus was backed up all the way to the basket, no foul. And then he says, I think it was Mitch who held his ground but was called for a foul. What is the defender's rights in that instance.
You know, that was I thought Osakowski played great for Texas. Yeah. I thought he took advantage of his size when we had a smaller guy on him, and what Mitch did, according to the official, was totally legal if it occurred closer to the basket. But since it occurred outside of imaginary arc, then he shouldn't have had his hands on him at all. Really? So, which I told him, I said, that's kind of strange. So you can back a guy down and you can't touch him and then or hold your ground until he gets into a certain area. So now he's in the scoring area, and then you can do it. And he said, yes. So I haven't questioned. I assume that he knew the actual rules. So I think that's one that may need to be revisited. But that didn't make much sense to me. And for a guy like Mitch or for Marcus, being able to hold your position is something that would have, obviously been beneficial to us, because Osakowski is a heavy load and he's strong, and he was able to back us down. We went to trap him early in the game a couple of times, and they made threes out of the trap. And so we went through a period of time where we didn't trap the back down like we were doing, and that's when he kind of went to work. So hindsight being 20/20, I wish we'd have stayed in it the entire time.
Not to harp on the officiating, but there was another moment later in the game where Marcus Garrett got rocked pretty good, and I know the Kansas bench was hoping they might take a look to see if there was anything above the shoulders. They did not go to the monitor. Can they in that instance, and why do you think they didn't?
Yeah, they can. They explained that to me also. I didn't totally agree. If they thought that maybe something would have happened that would have been something to the head,
like a flagrant one or something.
Yeah. If they thought that there was a chance that would be the case, they can do that themselves. We couldn't do it. We didn't have a timeout left, and if you don't have you're given a timeout if it go and there's nothing to it. So we didn't have a timeout left in the last minute. I think we used our last one with a minute left, and then so anything that happened under there, if we requested them go to it, and then it didn't happen, then it'd be a technical foul. So I did not. I thought it was kind of not the right play by the official, because he knew he got hit in the head. There's no doubt he got hit, but he was confident that it didn't happen in a way that would be construed to be illegal, and he was right. After watching the film, it was just a hand going to the eye. It wasn't like it was an intentional elbow or anything like that. So the official was right in the way he explained it. But I would think in certain situations, it seems like they go to the monitor. Like we're looking at it right now. The guys are at the monitor right now. It seems like to me, as often as they go to the monitor, something like that happens, you would probably check it out, but they elected not to.
Coach is talking about the Iowa State-West Virginia game going on as we speak. Well, I know you've always got the back of your player, and I love it that you were fighting for him last night, and I wanted to ask you about that. All right, real quickly before we get out to break, Pete wants to know, you always reference playing downhill. What does playing downhill mean?
Driving the ball north and south rather than east to west, and when I say east to west, of course, obviously that's side to side, I wasn't very good at geography, but I knew that east and west was left and right. So and north and south was up and down. So you want to drive the ball downhill to force help, and that was something last night that we got to we the spacing and stuff wasn't great by any stretch, but I get so frustrated with this, because even though it does happen some, we don't have anything where we run a dribble handoff. Nothing. Everything's supposed to be short passes and drive off their butt, after you make a short pass. Because it's hard to switch a short pass. It's easy to switch a handoff. A short pass won us a national championship with Mario and Sharon. It was a short pass. It had been a handoff, they would have switched. We would never got a shot off. So it's a fine line, and we just go side to side, and so at least we were, last night, and didn't do a good job penetrating. yeah, I think in this particular game right here, the West Virginia game and the Iowa State game, I think Haley there fouled an Iowa State shooter on a 3 and hit him in the face with his hand. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, they went to check it on the monitor, and they gave him a flagrant foul for obviously a hand in some form or fashion to the face, whether it be a poke in the eye or something like that. And I just find that kind of ridiculous how they could go the monitor on that and not go to the monitor last night on our guy, even though the official did make the right call.
Very interesting. How about that timing as well? All right, when we come back, we're going to spin the wheel. More fun still to come from Hawk Talk, live from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. Thanks for joining us on the Equity Bank Jayhawk IMG Sports Network. Tightropes the baseline. Inside Lawson. He shoots and he's fouled. A chance at a three-point play as the shot goes and the foul. More highlights from last night's game in Austin, Texas. KU falls 73-63. Jayhawks now 16-5 on the year, 5-3 in Big 12 conference play. Shout out to my main man Jackson, who's with us tonight. He brought his whole family out here, first ever night at Hawk Talk. Jackson, thanks for being here. He noticed you pressing more tonight, or last night rather, and says, do you think you'll continue to press more since you're short on low post players currently?
That's a good question. Last night it was more catch-up press, obviously, under the 4-minute mark. I don't think we can do that for 40 minutes, but we have thrown a little soft pressure that has actually been pretty good for us, but it's also hurt us some too. So not very consistent with that, but that's something that we can certainly get better at and try to do some things. It's nice to be able to press if you can kind of funnel it to a guy in the back. That's one advantage that Texas has, whether it's Sims or Hayes that's in there. They can funnel it to a guy that is, you're not going to get a layup very often. And so we'd have to, really do some things better to keep them from when we make a mistake that they could go attack that. But I thought we actually did a pretty good job in it, but I hope it's not too often that we have to use it, because usually it's more of a catch-up deal with us than anything.
You forced the one turnover on the sideline, nearly got another one on the midcourt stripe, but as you pointed out to me, they didn't go over and back.
No, that was a good call. It was a good no call. Yeah. It was about an inch or two away from being an over or back, and we did force one on the sideline in the backcourt, and then we forced a bad pass out of a trap that ended up giving us a chance to get back in it, and we just didn't capitalize.
You ready for a psychology question? We might need Dr. Scott Ward for this, but our buddy David Reynolds wants to know, what's the psychology of a player when he dunks the ball at the rim versus a guy that goes soft off the glass?
I think that there's, in my experiences, I always got a lot more jacked up, when I
you were always playing above the rim.
When I laid it off the glass. So I believe that there's something about dunking the basketball that makes that gives a team more energy, and certainly playing at home gives you, the crowd, more energy that can be a spark that changes the momentum of a game. It can either extend the momentum, or it could literally change the momentum of the game. So I have always encouraged our guys to, when it's close, you dunk the basketball. And people may say, well, you take the, now there's times in a game, if you got a breakaway, and you're down one, and it's an easy layup, go ahead and lay it off the glass if there's no time left. But how many times have we done something over the years that somebody had made a play that sparked us, that sparked the crowd and things like that, that just the layup can't quite do it the same way that an athletic play can. And I think athletic plays also give your team confidence. So I like them. I do. I try to dunk everything if I could. I would definitely like our team to do that.
Speaks to how much we miss Doak. You had 120 dunks from Doak a year ago. And
did we? Is that what the number
120,
was?
120, yeah. We counted.
Wow.
Chris Tyson and I from Udunka. All right, time to spin the wheel. We've added 2 new basketball media celebrities on here. Miss Holly Rowe, sideline reporter for ESPN, and Dan Schulman, who's the official national play-by-play voice of ESPN. Both have very good questions. We'll see if Coach spins either. 14 options on the board. We spin the wheel, and tonight we will hear from, this is uncanny. This is unbelievable. I'm taking you to a roulette wheel tomorrow. Dan Schulman.
I don't feel very lucky. So,
for the 3rd consecutive week, a 1 in 14 chance, and he literally spins the person we just added to the wheel. Here he is. You're going to hear Whitney Houston in the background. I apologize. We recorded this at Rupp Arena. She want to know if you're thinking of her. Whitney Houston and Dan Schulman. Here you go.
Coach Self, on the sideline, you project this incredible aura of poise and confidence and toughness. But as a kid, I think little Bill Self was probably afraid of something, and I narrowed it down to 3 guesses. I got spiders, I got heights, and I got being afraid of the dark. What was it that you were afraid of the most when you were a kid?
Little Bill Self, what was he afraid of?
Well, I still am scared of spiders a little bit. So
how about that?
He hit that on the head. Snakes, too. God almighty. I see a snake, and it's like driving down the road, and I want to turn my car around and go the other way. But I've been scared of more than what he mentioned. But dark's never been a problem. Heights sometimes on a roller coaster or something like that, that can get to me a little bit. But spiders, those things always,
I'm the same way. A little bit of arachnophobia. You did beat Richmond, though, in the Sweet 16, so that probably helped a little bit.
No, not really. Not really.
Dan Schulman, thank you so much for the question. We appreciate it. Once again, spin the wheel, one of our favorite parts of Hawk Talk. We'll come back and talk Texas Tech right after this. Coming at you live from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence on the Equity Bank Jayhawk IMG Sports Network.
When we were caregiving for Grandma and Grandpa in their room, they wanted a certain temperature, and you could regulate and keep their temperature in that room instead of all of us sweating bullets in the house.
Kate's servicemen really understood our needs. We spoke to them about the grandparents' room. They wanted that one room very, very warm, and they were able to accomplish that. We know when we walk in the door, the temperature's going to be right where we like it. So it's been wonderful having Kate's heating and cooling. We love it.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Hey, Bear, what would you do with $75,000?
I don't know. Have a really nice moose dinner, maybe, for starters.
That's hilarious. You're the funniest, Bear.
Oh, come on.
Bottom feeders should be seen and not heard.
Hey, $1,000 is nothing.
I can fly!
Nice.
Very impressive.
Give Winter Cash instant tickets from the Kansas Lottery, and you could be giving someone up to $75,000. That should get everyone talking.
Okay, now you're just showing off.
Devon to play it in. Gets it into Diedrich. Launches a three. He got it! Diedrich Lawson, oh, so clutch. And KU within 4 with 1:01 to go. Nice shot by Diedrich Lawson right when KU needed it. There had just been a tie-up that cost us the arrow, and I saw more frustration out of Diedrich than we'd seen in a while, and he called for the ball on the inbound play and promptly knocked that one down from the corner.
Yeah, you know, I think his maturity and his poise is really unbelievable because he had a rough night last night, and you know in Kentucky, you know, he ended up playing well, but God dang, they put guys on him and lay on him, which is a good strategy. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. That's a good defensive strategy and everything, and I'm not doubting that, but you just don't see him change his facial expression or show frustration very often. But there was a couple of times last night where he did, and after watching the tape, I think he had every right to show it. But you know, as an official, you know, he's a guy that you see this, and you've seen it with our guys too. And I'm not trying to say that our guys are better or anything like that. Everybody has somebody, but he never shows up an official. If it's a call and they got it wrong, he just hands the ball to him and goes on down the court. Yeah, I really respect him and how he handles that.
I do as well. Final in-house audience question of the night comes from Leap. Todd Williams, the legend, as he said. He wants to know the game plan for Texas Tech.
Well, we have to figure out a way to attack their ball screen defense, Leaper. And you know, the bottom line is people don't score a lot of points against them, so we need to be able to grimy it up with them. And so hopefully we can do that.
Leap, thanks for the question. We're going to go with Jackson for tonight's top audience question. He asked about more pressure. He wins the Jayhawk pewter statue from iconartworks.com. This is the 1912 Jayhawk. Has the legend of wearing shoes so it can kick its opponents. You can find out more about this bird online at iconartworks.com. This has been Hawk Talk on the Jayhawk Network.
You've been listening to Hawk Talk with Bill Self on the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network. Tune in each week to get the latest on Jayhawk basketball from the head coach, Bill Self. Tonight's edition of Hawk Talk has been presented by Boulevard Brewing Company, local since 1989. Capital Federal Savings, celebrating 125 years. By Johnny's Tavern, serving up tradition since 1953 in Lawrence and Kansas City area. And by Intrust Bank, proud supporter of Kansas athletics. Hawk Talk with Bill Self is an exclusive presentation of IMG, America's home for college sports.